Well, hi there, fluties, and welcome to another episode of the Learn Flute podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca, and today we're going to answer some of the most Googled flute questions that are important for beginners, returning players, and those who are just out to improve what they know and are already doing with their instrument, the flute. Now, these are questions that players type into Google and other search engines often, and I'll be giving you clear, simple answers. So let's get started.
You can do it, and Rebecca will show you how, step by step all along the way. Introducing the Learn Flute podcast.
If you have ever searched for answers to flute and other musical subjects online, well, this episode is for you because you may or may not have found an easy to understand answer. Well, I will walk you through the top flute questions step by step so you can feel confident in your playing and enjoy your practice time even more. We're going to talk about 4 big flute questions today. They are, what is the best beginner flute and how much should you spend? How to clean and care for your flute, where to find and how to read a flute fingering chart, how to play notes without squeaks. Well, these are the questions about music and flute that are the ones that people just like you are searching online every month. And I know the answers will help you feel more confident in your playing. I'm going to give them to you here. And remember, if you'd like to go deeper and have everything laid out step by step, come join us inside Learn Flute Online. The silver level is free to start, and then you can go into the gold level. We have intermediate and advanced after that to make sure that you have the full foundation that you need to keep progressing and having fun on your flute. Okay, question number 1. Our very first big question is one that comes up constantly. What is the best beginner flute? Well, this is a great question, and the answer really depends on 2 things. Budget over value or value over budget. In other words, are you looking for the lowest cost possible just to get started? Or do you want an instrument that's going to last longer, probably have more sound quality, and give you more value in the long run? Well, here's the truth. A good beginner flute really doesn't have to break the bank. There are a lot more options than there used to be. Many inexpensive flutes that look really shiny and colorful online actually are kind of made with poor quality parts. They oftentimes don't stay in tune, and the keys can bend or stick easily. And in the end, they make it much harder for you to learn in the long run. But they are easy on the budget, so oftentimes they could catch your eye and be a great fun first option or just a travel flute. Now, on the other hand, a well-built student flute will help you play more easily right from the start. If it's well put together, the keys will move with efficiency, the pads will seal correctly, it will be broken way less often, and you'll spend your time making music instead of fighting the instrument for sound. Now, this might sound kind of dramatic, but it can be true. So if you've decided that a quality flute is what you're looking for, I always suggest going straight to a trusted brand that's designed for a longer learning. Now, these flutes are made to be reliable and more durable. Some of the top favorite flutes from back in the day, I'm talking about the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s, they seem to have changed how flute production has been made. It has cheapened over the years for certain brands, and their introductory models have been playing like junk for the past few years. So that's sad to say. But if you're shopping, think of it this way. If you want to minimize the cost just to see if the flute is for you, make sure you choose something from a recognized brand with a reputation for quality. Now, banned brands of the past are not really considered a better option no matter where you find them, and that is my professional opinion, of course. So now that I've thoroughly confused you, really, if you want better value in the long run, it is worth spending a bit more for an instrument that will last several years, many years actually, and maybe even decades, and still play beautifully as you advance. Now, at the time of this recording, I'm only going to mention one that's on the top of my favorite brand list you could say, for quality, because the quality student models are just seem to be at the top of all the others. And that is the Dijau brand flutes. Now, Mr. Dijau is really climbing the charts as he creates a better quality instrument with higher level materials and workmanship on them. So either way, choosing the right beginner flute is one of the smartest steps that you can take because it sets you up for success and makes learning so much more enjoyable. So question number 2, our second and the most Googled flute question is, how do I clean and care for my flute? Well, this is such an important question because the way you care for your flute directly affects how good it sounds, how long it lasts, and even how easy it is to play. We all like an easy to play flute, right? A well cared for flute can last for many years, while a neglected one can quickly develop sticky pads, leaks, or even damage that makes playing almost or basically impossible. Now, this can happen in just a few days or weeks, believe it or not. So let's go through the basics so your flute can stay in great condition. Daily care. Now, every time you finish playing, take a moment to swab out the inside of your flute. Yeah, use a cleaning rod that comes with your flute with a soft cloth that comes for it and an actual flute swab. Slide it in through each section so that moisture doesn't stay trapped inside. And moisture left inside the flute can damage the pads and it leads to mold or even sticky key issues. It's really worth a few seconds, believe me. Next, go ahead and use a soft microfiber cloth to wipe out the outside of your flute, and this removes your fingerprints and the oils that can tarnish the silver plating. It's a quick step that keeps your flute looking and sounding beautiful. Now, what not to do? So here's what not to do. Don't run your flute underwater like a band teacher taught me once back when I was like 11 years old. Oh my goodness. He was a trumpet player and obviously did not know what he was doing. Also, don't use harsh cleaning products or even silver polish. And don't poke around inside of the key work, like with swabs or toothpicks or screwdrivers or anything that could easily touch or bend the springs or the pads. Now, these pads are actually very, very delicate and should never be touched. And remembering these tips will help your flute stay in great condition and it will do well for you. When you're done playing, always store your flute in its case. Leaving it out on a table or a shelf, even for a super short time, can lead to accidental bumps, dust collecting inside the mechanism. Basically, the flute will get all gummed up and the keys won't even go up and down anymore. They'll get slow. It happens. So make a habit of putting your flute away, okay? And finally, even with perfect daily care, flutes still need a professional checkup. A good rule is about once a year, take your flute to a qualified repair technician. They'll check pads and they'll make sure that they're sealing right. They'll check your spring tension and overall alignment. Think of it like a regular tune-up or an oil change for your car. It really just keeps things running smoothly. And if you tend to feel like your flute isn't playing as well as it used to, it's because it needs to go see a technician and get everything put back where it's supposed to be. So remember, swab the inside, wipe the outside, and store it in its case and get regular checkups. It's simple, but it makes all the difference. Now, answering flute questions like this reminds us that good habits early on can make playing more enjoyable and frustration-free because your flute will keep playing for you. That's nice, right? Okay, let's move into question number 3. Another of the most Googled flute questions is, where can I find a flute fingering chart and how do I read it? Well, this is such a good one because every flute player might see a fingering chart at some point. It's like a little map that shows you which keys to press down to create each note. Well, if you've ever looked at a chart and thought it seemed confusing, you're not alone. Now let's make it simple here. Where to find one? Okay, fingering charts are available in some beginner flute books. And you can also find printable versions online with just like a little quick search of flute fingering chart. Now, whether they are credible or not is another question though. Inside Learn Flute Online, I also provide correct fingering charts that go right along with the lessons. And having one handy is important, especially when you're just starting out. All right, how to read a fingering chart. Well, when you first look at a fingering chart, you'll usually see a picture of a flute drawn vertically with circles and little lines and things like that that represent the keys. Filled in circles mean that you press the keys down. Open circles mean that the key stays up. Your left hand fingers are shown on the top portion, and your right hand fingers are shown on the bottom portion, kind of like this. And so this way you can match the chart directly to your own flute. Now, I do this a little differently inside the modules of Learn Flute Online. I actually show them in the same direction that you hold and look at a flute. It makes it so much easier to understand. Charts are not actually all created equal also. So now I need to give you a word of caution. Not all fingering charts are correct. As I said, many older versions, and especially some that you can find online today, are full of mistakes. I've seen charts from like the 1960s that are still floating around, and if you try to follow them, you'll end up confused or learning some finger patterns incorrectly, which will stick with you as a habit for many years. They're hard to break and lead to frustrated playing abilities. So I'm going to toot my own horn, toot toot here, and let you know that I will not lead you astray. Okay, they are more than just a chart sometimes. And here's the other truth. Having a flute and a fingering chart is not the same as actually having the education that you need to become fluent and a happy musician. Now, those charts only tell you which buttons to push in certain instances and doesn't teach you how to shape or clear up your sound, how to use articulation, and how to make music come alive. It's like the difference between this and this. There's a whole world in between those two things, and I can't wait to show you inside Learn Flute Online. So remember, a flute fingering chart is a valuable tool, and know that it's only one little piece of the puzzle. Real growth as a flutist comes from having step-by-step guidance and learning how to actually use those notes to create music you'll love. Okay, question number 4. Let's move on to this one. How do I play notes on the flute without squeaks? Well, if you've ever tried playing notes on the flute and hear some honks or some squeaks or a sound that just doesn't match what you expected, you're definitely not alone. But no worries, I have your back, and I'll make sure that you learn to play with good technique that keeps the honks and the squeaks away. All notes on the flute require a balance of airspeed and the correct angle on the outer edge of the lip plate, outer edge of that hole, right? So if your head joint is tilted towards you as you're playing too much like this, then your airstream might have the wrong proportion of air splitting on that outer edge right there, and for the octave that you're intending to play. Now this ends up sounding like a squeak. And in reality, the squeak is possibly really a real note. It's just not the note that you were trying to hit. Okay, remember that. Now you can also think of it this way. If your airspeed is too strong for the note that you're fingering, the flute can jump into a higher harmonic or a higher octave, and it'll give you a sound that you weren't expecting. Okay, so the answer isn't just one single fix. Instead, it's about learning how to adjust small details with your face and your lips, which is called your embouchure, including the angle of your airstream, right? Until they all work together correctly. Now, no need to really worry about this too much right now while you're listening to me talk. Just know that I will show you on every single note what's supposed to be happening inside the lesson modules of Learn Flute Online. I promise, okay? Now, one way to practice is to play a note that you're comfortable with, like let's say a B, and then very gradually increase your airspeed and adjust the angle of your head joint at the same time to kind of test what's happening. try all the different things to see what happens. Notice when the sound suddenly jumps up an octave or squeaks, not to mention how off tune it is. That moment is a teaching moment, and it's helping you learn how sensitive the flute is. And with practice, you're going to learn to control it. So tone and high notes are things that we work on together inside Learn Flute Online. Every January, I run a special 10-day tone workshop for my members inside Learn Flute Online. It's a focused training where I give you daily lessons for your tone and help you correct the habits that keep you sounding airy, fuzzy, squeaky, gurgly, sticky, honky, or dry. And by the end of the 10 days, you'll be amazed at how much clearer and more beautiful your flute tone can be. So if your flute squeaks on high notes, don't get discouraged. It's a real thing for flute players to learn about, and it simply means you're still finding the balance of angle and airspeed. With the right practice and guidance, you'll get past those squeaks and discover a tone that you are really proud of. Alrighty, fluties. Today we covered 4 of the most common flute questions people search for online. We talked about choosing the best beginner flute, how to clean and care for your instrument, how to use a fingering chart, or where to find one, and how to play notes without squeaks. Now, each of these answers will help you move forward with confidence, and remember, progress is made one step at a time, and each small win adds up to big results. Now, each of these flute questions might seem small on their own, but when you put the answers in practice, they add up to real progress. Your flute journey becomes smoother, your tone becomes clearer, and your confidence grows every single day. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode and want to keep building your skills step by step, I invite you to join me inside Learn Flute Online, where you can get started as a brand new beginner or a seasoned beginner or somebody who's been around for a really long time, just as you're ready to improve and progress on your flute playing. I'm here for you. You can also get started if you're brand new with the silver level for free, and once you're ready, you can move into the gold level. Feel confident that every module and lesson is organized for you in perfect order so that you can really progress. Now, inside you'll find lessons, exercise, and fun pieces that help you sound beautiful while avoiding frustration. It's the fastest way to go from just trying things out to really, really loving the way you play and how you sound on your flute. So thank you for listening today. I had a great time helping you find answers to the most Googled flute questions, and I can't wait to hear about your progress. Until next time, keep practicing, keep smiling, and enjoy every single note on your flute. Bye now.
Thanks for listening today. Remember that this is where people of all ages, such as you, can come, learn, and play the musical instrument flute in an easy-to-follow, organized manner, and in the privacy and comfort of your own home, on your own schedule.